So Bluetooth headphones have gotten really good, but which one is actually the best of the best? Well, in front of me, I have 5 of my favorite pairs of headphones that all have fantastic sound, great active noise cancellation, a lot of great features, and more to like about them. But in this video, I'm going to be testing all 5 of these in 9 different categories and ranking them 1 through 5 to figure out in the end which one is actually the best pair to buy. So these 9 categories cover an entire range of what you might be using these for, from sound quality to microphone quality to active noise cancellation tests, and much more than that. So hopefully this is a comprehensive review to help you decide which one is actually the best pair for you. And most importantly, to demonstrate that they're not actually correlated to the price. The most expensive one isn't necessarily the best, and in many categories, it might even be the worst. So the 5 headphones I'm going to be showing you in this video, kind of in no particular order, but the first one are the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra headphones. I just made a full review of these very recently. A lot of people have been really excited to see these come out, and I was so excited as well. Overall, a fantastic pair. They're going to be a strong contender in this video. Then, of course, we have the Apple AirPods Max. Very expensive, yes, but they are about 3 years old now, and they're still absolutely crushing it. Apple has not updated them because, I mean, they're still a great pair of headphones. Then we have the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. These come in a couple different colors. We'll talk about that in a second, but really a unique style. And of all the headphones on this table, these, I would argue, are the most changed from the previous generation. So if you didn't like the 3s, that says nothing about the 4s. The 4s are completely different. Then we have, of course, the Sony WH-1000XM5s. These are, I mean, they need no introduction. Sony does a great job with headphones, and they've really kind of been a long time running champion in this category. And then, of course, we have the Bowers & Wilkins PX7 S2E headphones. They've got a couple different models, but I chose the S2E because these are really similar in price to the others. They're a lot more approachable for most people. Like the PX8s are $800 or $900, so I didn't really want to include those. But these really made sense in this category, really among the other ones here. So now let's actually start off with what I would consider to be the most interesting category out of all of these. Blocking out sound around you, whether you're commuting or traveling or whatever, active noise cancellation is going to be so important. And so the way I run this test is actually by playing a white noise at a set distance away. I continue to turn up the volume until the headphones are no longer able to block that out, and then I record that volume. So kind of going in order from first down to 5th place, in first place are actually the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra headphones. These did a fantastic job of not only blocking out the jet sounds, as you can see on this chart right here, at 63.2 decibels, but also higher voices as well. Then interestingly, in 2nd place, probably the oldest pair on this table, the Apple AirPods Max, blocking at 60.9 decibels. These are still incredibly powerful, which they're pretty big headphones, so it's not a huge surprise, and Apple always crushes it with ANC anyway. Then in 3rd place, we have the Sony WH-1000XM5s. Just a little side note here, WH stands for wireless headphones, WF stands for wireless free. I'll try not to mix those up in this video, but the wireless frees are like Sony's earbuds, whereas the H's are the headphones. But this came in 3rd place, again, absolutely crushing it. And these did really well across many different environments, trains, planes, higher crowd sounds, like different things like that. They're really pretty universal. Then in 4th place, we actually have the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. I have to say, these were definitely lacking. I was really looking for something a little better here. Sennheiser has never really been the best at ANC. And then in last place are the Bowers & Wilkins. They're kind of, I want to tie, I'm going to call them both 4th place and tie them there because neither was really impressive, and they were both very, very similar in their level. Moving on to the next test, kind of ties in with the first one. If you don't want to block sound out, maybe you want transparency mode. And this is going to allow you to hear your surroundings, and it actually changes so much with different headphones. Some of them sound robotic and muffled. In 1st place here, this one absolutely does not sound like anything at all. It sounds like you're not even wearing these headphones. These are the AirPods Max. I have yet to try another pair of earbuds or headphones that sound as good as these when it comes to transparency mode. Apple absolutely crushes it. But I have to say, not too far behind are the Bose Quietcomfort Ultras. Bose really made a big step forward and has some pretty fantastic transparency mode this year. Those two are way ahead of all the rest. They sound natural. You can hear like your fingers rubbing together, everything in the normal space where it would be. And they feel almost like you're not wearing those headphones. In 3rd place are the Sonys, still doing a really solid job here. I have to say I was impressed with them, but Again, it is a little bit more muffled than the other ones. Still fairly natural, not robotic, but definitely a bit more muffled. I'm going to say tied in third place are the Sennheisers. Really kind of the same setup there. A little bit muffled. I wish it would be slightly louder, but still not too robotic. And then in last place, Bowers & Wilkins. So far off to a kind of rough start here. They will redeem themselves, I promise, in a minute. But the transparency mode on those was just, again, not bad, but it wasn't nearly as loud as I would like it to be, and it was a little bit more robotic than the other ones. Moving on to the next category of design and controls, I'm kind of bundling these two together. Just how well did the engineers do designing this product? So I arranged them in the order that I thought was best. I had my wife do the same. I asked some other people, and generally the consensus was that the best design, and I'll kind of explain why for each of these. So in first place, jumping way ahead here from their 5th place in the first 2 rounds, these are the Bowers & Wilkins. Like, I think the design on these look really good. The controls are really solid. And so let's kind of explain why. So these come in 5 different colors. I thought this kind of a sage green, minty green kind of, with a gold accent just looked so unique, so premium. It really has a very similar style to their much more expensive PX8 headphones that I mentioned before, and with kind of a quilted fabric, or I don't know how to really describe that, but the textured fabric on the top and on the side as well, like it just really ties it together. Great design on here. And the controls, despite not having any touch gestures or anything like that, I think physical buttons are actually much more reliable. For one, if you're ever working out, you don't have to worry about wet hands. Like, you can adjust your headphones without accidentally controlling or swiping forward or anything. And the buttons, like, you always know where they are, you can feel them, and they work so reliably. Then in second place were the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. These have a really unique design. They're very different from the previous generation, much less metal on these, but still you have 2 different colors, and they kind of tied in the same colors as before. So you have a bit of an off-white on this one. There's also a black model as well. And so the off-white one comes with kind of a brownish tan leathery look on the inside. They did a really good job matching the color on the headband and the ear cups, even though it is very clearly a different material. The headband is much more of a silicone with, again, a really nice fabric on the outside. This kind of Sennheiser's look. Their cases on their earbuds look like that too. Across the board, I think these are both minimal, but also really, like, they're very character. Like, I really like how Sennheiser did this. In addition, they do have a new case now, so it's a lot more like solid, and it also matches this as well. So these are going to be a little more protected. That's great from a design standpoint. And of course, as far as controls go, we have swipe controls on these. I find them very intuitive. Like I said before, I do prefer buttons, but swipe controls, they did a great job on these. Moving down to third place, the design of the Sony WH-1000XM5s. This one's only barely third place. I think it could probably even be second place. Like, I like the design of these. Obviously very subjective. 3 different colors though. There's white, there's black, and there's kind of like a navy blue, like a deep blue, I think is what they call it. Midnight blue, actually, is probably what they call it. And these, again, simple design, a lot like the Sennheisers. I think these actually are older though, so maybe Sennheiser copied these, who knows. The controls on these, we do have 2 buttons. We've got our power button and our ANC and transparency button, and then of course swipe controls on the ear cup as well. And Sony has a lot of really cool things, like you can just cup an ear and that'll automatically like it'll turn your music down, let you hear your surroundings for a minute or something. Like, a lot of cool features. We'll talk about the features later, but great design. Like, Sony definitely crushed it with that. Moving right along to fourth place, the AirPods Max. I really like a lot about these. They're so unique, and I have to give credit to Apple to really tying in their design characteristics. The little rotating crown on the top, the button, it all does a great job. I wish there was another button or two for some more controls on here. I feel like it's a little bit limiting. And of course, the case doesn't protect it at all. Like, you can see on the top, my headband's already kind of all mangled up a little bit, just because it comes with like a little purse thing, basically. I don't know, we've all seen it. It's not the best way, in my opinion, to protect your AirPods. And then finally, we have the Bose. I'm not saying these are bad design by any means, and obviously, like I said, so subjective here. The controls on here, something I really like about them is they do have a little ridge for volume. So intuitive, just to slide your finger on the ridge to adjust that. And then they have 2 buttons. The downside is sometimes it takes a little bit longer to like wake up the headphones. You press the on button, it might take a second, you don't know if it's turning on yet, you press it again, and then you accidentally turned it back off. All right, category number 4, however, Bose went from 5th place to 1st place here. This is going to be the fit and the comfort. How well do these stay in your head? How comfortable are they after wearing them for a while? Bose is in 1st place here, and there's really no doubt about it in my mind. These are weighing in at 251 grams, so they're very, very light. They're incredibly comfortable, the perfect clamping force. They're not going to be perfect for if you're doing dynamic workouts, but really none of these are going to be great for that. If you're doing burpees, these are probably going to fall off your head. But sitting at a desk, I can wear these the longest out of everything on this table here. Again, very, very soft cushioning on these, a really nice material on the ear cups and on the headband, and like just a gentle clamping force that feels like they're not even really there. In second place, I have to say the Sonys. I've been wearing these on airplanes for, since they came out. And so after wearing them for a long, long time, like there's really not too much clamping force in my opinion. It stays on very well. These are actually a little bit more clampy than the Bose. So if you are doing workouts, these are going to be better in my opinion. And because they don't have a really deep ear cup, my ears don't tend to get especially hot with these. Like, they're just a solid pair of headphones. They also only weigh 249 grams, so they're also very, very light. Moving on to third place, the Sennheisers here. These are a little bit heavier. They have a really big battery, so that's why they're heavier. But 292 grams, so that's about 40 grams heavier. And with that, like, you're getting a pretty gentle clamp, a nice kind of leathery, I think it's fake leather, but leathery texture on there. Like, you can wear them. They're like, they're number 3. They're not going to be best, but they're definitely not the worst. In fourth place, the AirPods Max only come in here because they're so much heavier. These are 386 grams. Like, that's a lot heavier than the other ones. So if I like look down, they do tend to work their way off my head, but they're tried and true. They got a nice deep ear cup that helps them stay on your ears a little bit better. People love them. I like them too, but fourth place, I think it's fair for them. And then we have in fifth place, the Bowers and Wilkins here. Again, pretty solid. Like, even though they keep getting fifth place, they're still great. They're better than most other options out there. But all things considered, 309 grams, really deep ear cups. Again, helps to stay in your head, but your ears are more likely to get hot with these. And there is a pretty strong clamping force, as you can see just from the general shape of these. I think fifth place is pretty fair for these there. So, let's say you are using these in a work day, or you're outside walking, you're on a call, whatever. Microphones are going to be really important. You're paying a lot of money for headphones. You want to have a good microphone on there. And the good news is these all do a great job. So we're going to test them in both an easy environment as well as a difficult environment, starting off indoors.
All right, this is the indoor microphone test with the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra headphones. The microphone should be like this. Should be the easiest situation for them possible. There's really no echo in here. And I'm talking at a pretty normal volume. This is an indoor microphone test with the PX7S2E headphones, so let me know how these sound to you. This is an indoor microphone test with the Sennheiser Momentum 4 headphones. Let me know how these microphones sound to you. This is an indoor microphone test with the Sony WH-1000XM5 headphones. This is an indoor microphone test with the Apple AirPods Max. Now, the side tone, the transparency, whatever you might want to call it, is definitely the best on these. When I'm talking on the phone, it feels the most natural to me to hear my own voice through these headphones. All right, so we're outside. There's some traffic behind me. It's also pretty breezy, so this should be a pretty tough environment for these microphones, but we'll see how they compare. These are the Sony X-Mark5s. Again, this is a tough environment, so we'll see how these actually compare. So now these are the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra headphones. These are, like I said, really comfortable, and I feel like I can hear my voice the right amount. But on a phone call in by a busy road with some wind, it would sound something like this. Now for the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. Now I know I said this a couple times in this video already, but these are probably the most changed headphones year over year. And another small complaint I'm realizing right now is that the transparency mode kind of gets weird, and ANC gets weird when there's wind. It kind of fluctuates in volume a little bit. But regardless, this is a microphone test. Let me know how these sound to you in a loud environment. And now these are the Apple AirPods Max. Now we know AirPods always have really good microphones, but we'll see how well they compare to the others, obviously, with this test right now.
Now, the battery life on these is kind of claimed to be fairly similar in all of them, but testing shows that that's not necessarily the case. So the battery life for all of these I'm going to show you is based on Bluetooth on and active noise cancellation on. I think that's really the most common scenario of how I tend to use these, and most others do as well. So in first place here, by a lot, like double the next closest, these are the Sennheisers, rated for 60 hours. I'm usually getting like mid-50s, upper 50s hours with these. It feels like you basically never charge them. So I think maybe slightly weaker ANC is definitely contributing to that, as we talked about before. Slightly heavier pair of headphones, but somehow they managed to just get a lot of battery life out of these. In second place then, we have the Bowers & Wilkins. These are they're claimed for 30 hours, but I'm getting a little bit more than that, like mid 30s, even up to like 40-ish hours. So that was actually quite impressive. They are a little bit heavier, so I would expect slightly larger battery on the inside. And again, slightly weaker ANC really goes a long way there. In third place are the Sonys. These are claimed to have 30 hours. Generally, I'm getting about 30-ish hours with these. And something interesting about these have obviously very, very powerful active noise cancellation. If you wanted the battery to last a lot longer, you could turn the ANC off and you're probably going to get 50-ish hours of battery life out of these headphones. So still not quite as good as the Sennheisers, especially not when the ANC's on, but like it's a very respectable battery life in my opinion. 30 hours easily gets me through a week of listening or like average work day. And it's not a big deal to charge them up, and I'll talk about why in just a second when we get into the sound quality. Then in fourth place, we have the Bose. These get about 30 hours is what they're rated for. I get a little bit less than that, but still very close. You can't actually turn the ANC off with these. There's always some level between active noise cancellation and transparency. Even if you put it in the middle, like the engine's still running on there. So that's why the battery's pretty consistent no matter what you do with that. And then in last place, surprisingly, like these are so big, the AirPods Max are only getting about 20 hours of battery life. That's also what they're rated for. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Apple's going to update those in the future, but for now, that's last place for battery life. So category number 7 is the sound quality among all of these. Like these all sound good. They're not going to be like super analytical audiophile headphones that are plugged into a DAC and everything, but these are still going to be probably the best sounding Bluetooth headphones you can buy for most consumers out there within reason. And so in first place here, in my opinion, these are the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. These just sound so good, so clean, very articulate, and they actually accept multiple inputs of audio. So for one, you can use Bluetooth, of course, and they have some really high resolution codecs as well, including aptX Adaptive. You can also plug in with a 3.5mm port. And of course, you can plug in with USB Type-C. So remember before, when I was talking about battery life, I said some of these are easier to charge than others. If I'm sitting at my desk and I want to plug in for audio, I typically use a USB-C cable. That way, these are always charged up, ready to go for meetings, and you can actually get really high resolution audio through a USB Type-C cable. So it works out really well on these headphones. In addition, talking about the sound quality a little more, very natural balance, very analytical, crisp highs, very clean mids on these as well. And you can hear a lot of like really intricate details throughout a song, like the guitar player's hand sliding on the fretboard, like a lot of really cool details that you can pick up with these. Across the board, like these just sound very natural and they do a good job. Moving on to second place, the Bose headphones actually jumped ahead a lot this year, even though they have essentially the same drivers as the Bose 700s. These now have a higher resolution codec on there. They are Snapdragon sound certified. So the high res codec really, in my opinion, carries a lot of weight here. These unfortunately don't have USB Type-C audio in, but they do still have Bluetooth, of course, like I said, and they do have a headphone port. It's not 3.5mm, it's slightly smaller, but you get the cable in the case. So as long as you have that with you, you're gonna be fine. As far as the sound quality goes with these, they're a little bit bassy, but overall, like, pretty well balanced. The wake sound calibrates them, so when you put these on your ears, they make this kind of rumbly sound. That'll calibrate them based on everyone's ear geometry to hopefully give a more consistent sound profile to every user, regardless of their ear geometry. I think that's pretty cool that Bose they've been doing that for a little while with their earbuds as well. In third place are the Sonys. These also don't accept USB input, but they do have a 3.5mm port on the bottom. And when it comes to Bluetooth, these have been crushing it for a long time. Sony's really always kind of been ahead with this one. They have their own proprietary LDAC. That's a really high resolution codec, probably the best one out there by many standards. And so as long as your phone is able to handle LDAC, i.e. it's not an iPhone, like most Androids can do this, you're gonna have really high resolution sound on here. There's also Bluetooth 5.2, not like the newest, but when these came out, that was the newest. So you're gonna have a pretty solid connection and a pretty good range as well. The sound on these overall, I would say it's a little bit bassy, definitely tailored towards consumers. There's a slightly recessed mid-range and a little bit of an emphasis on the highs for some more perceived clarity, which overall makes it feel more full and lively and exciting. I kind of generally refer to this as like a consumer dynamic profile. I think a lot of people, especially an untrained ear, would really like the way these sound. But, you know, I think it's a pretty solid number 3 here. So in fourth place here, I was really torn on this because On one hand, these do far better than the others when you're listening to Spotify on an iPhone, but aside from that, they don't have a high resolution codec, so you can't really get any benefits out of listening to Tidal or local files or anything like that. Additionally, they don't have a 3.5mm port or a USB Type-C input. Instead, with a lightning cable there, which isn't even what's on the latest iPhones, you have to buy a lightning adapter to listen to wired audio on these. So that I find to be a pretty big drawback. But as far as the sound quality itself goes, there's not really an EQ on the iPhone like we've seen with any other AirPods. It's pretty common, but there's like a subtle boost to the lows. It's definitely not muddy, very clean, pleasant highs, good instrument separation, a really nice soundstage. Like, all things considered, when you look at a spec sheet, you might say these are not going to sound good, but they actually sound really good. Like, Apple did a fantastic job given those limitations, a low resolution codec and things like that. Bluetooth 5.0, for example. They do a good job though. I have to say, I like it. And then of course, in last place here, man, I feel bad. I feel like these always come in last place, but again, it's not by much. Like, these are still a really good pair of headphones. The Bowers & Wilkins, I really like the sound on these. They sound very, I would say it's a little bit dark, but very fun and lively. They do have aptX adaptive. They have 40mm drivers on there, and they do support up to 24-bit audio. In addition, they support all 3 inputs. We've got Bluetooth, we've got USB Type-C, and we have, of course, well, no, we don't. Okay, they only support 2. They have USB Type-C and they have Bluetooth. They don't actually have a 3.5mm port. I don't know why I thought they did. I just didn't actually look for it until now. The sound quality on these, like I said, is a little bit bassy, definitely a bit on the dark side, and so there are some weaker mids as well. In general, I would say these are going to be more fun than they are analytical. They're not really that analytical, but for a lot of people, pretty exciting and pretty lively headphones to listen to. Then the second to last category. This is one that I think always sets headphones apart, and these are the features. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. The first in this category has to be the Sony headphones. Sony just packs so many features into every product they make. These have crazy things, like I said, from cupping your ear to hear your surroundings to speak to chat. If you just start talking, it'll turn your music down, it'll turn on transparency, you can talk to somebody, and when you stop talking, it knows you stopped talking, it'll turn your music back up and put you right back into active noise cancellation. You can change the settings based on where you are, what you're doing, if you're moving around, like turn on active noise cancellation when I'm sitting at my desk, crazy things like that. They also have Sony's 360 reality audio, which is like spatial audio. They had it before basically anybody else did in the game. And of course they have DSEE Extreme, so you can up-res or upsample lower quality audio and make it potentially sound a little bit better, a little bit cleaner at least. And of course they have multi-point connectivity. The list goes on and on. Sony's app might look a little cluttered to some, but it really has a lot of features. Kind of a no-brainer, first place there. Second place then, the Sennheiser Momentums. I didn't expect it, because the 3s were like really lacking a lot of features, and these, well, not a lot. They were lacking some features, but these just have a lot of new features. So they have like sound check, which is a cool thing. They've got the ability to manage your connections in the app, so you can actually have multi-point connectivity, of course, with these. You have sound zones. Like I said, Sony does that. Like, you move around and like at work, on the train, whatever, different profiles, so it automatically changes some settings on these. They did, however, get rid of the haptic motor they had on the 3s. I guess I didn't really notice it when I started using these. I never really used the haptic motor. It like turned on during phone calls, I guess, when you got phone calls, and it was used for like an onboard tile to locate it. This doesn't have tile anymore, but again, I don't really think that's a huge deal. Still, plenty of features. I was very impressed with that. Then, kind of tied in second place, the AirPods Max. If you have an Apple ecosystem, if you have any Apple devices at all, really, then this has, of course, the H1 chip on there, which gives you all of those Apple things. Of course, the automatic switching between your iPad and your iPhone. You have audio sharing, so if you have 2 pairs of AirPods or like any AirPods, AirPods Pro and these, you can do audio sharing on your iPhone, so you can both listen to the same phone at the same time with different pairs of AirPods. That's pretty solid. You've got spatial audio and all the other Apple stuff that, of course, comes with the AirPods Max. Going down to fourth place, kind of tie here, these both have, of course, the Bose and the Bowers & Wilkins. These both have a lot of normal stuff. Like, they've got, like, Bose has auto on and off, which is pretty cool. You don't have to turn them off. You just set them down and they kind of go to sleep. They know they're not on your head. You can push the Bluetooth button on the bottom to switch between different devices. So They don't really have multi-point connectivity, but they basically do. They'll connect to multiple devices and you just kind of manually switch, which could be better or it could be a little worse depending on how you would like to use that. But again, like connect to your laptop and you get a phone call, press the button, it'll switch over to your phone and you can answer the call pretty easily. And of course, Bose has their modes, which you can manually select. So like one might be like home mode, and that might have spatial audio, and it might have transparency mode on, things like that. The Bowers & Wilkins, they have a really annoying wake sound. When you turn it on, it plays like a little piano sound. I don't know why they did that, but they do have a custom action button. Remember I said I really like the buttons on these. The button on the left ear cup, you can customize to do a couple different things. I thought that was pretty cool, and you can change some other settings in the app as well. And that brings us to the final category. If you haven't already left an angry comment saying, why didn't he talk about price? Well, here you go. This is it. This is the price here. So ranking these in order of price, I had to include this because some of these are just punching far above their weight and some of them are a little bit overpriced. And so this is kind of an equalizer by including this as a category. Okay, so going through these prices, these are based on the prices today, what I'm seeing online where I am, but I'll also mention the MSRP, even though most of these aren't selling at MSRP. But the cheapest ones are the Sennheisers, which are $279 right now. Feels like these are punching way above their weight. That is a pretty significant sale from the $379 that's MSRP, but even at $379, these are cheaper than the other ones on this table. Like these are really punching above their weight. I was very impressed with that. In second place, the Sonys, always a pretty solid deal. These are $349 right now. MSRP is $399, but again, pretty solid deal for what you're getting. These are really a jack of all trades for that price. The Bose headphones are in third place for $379 right now. MSRP is $429, so they're already on sale, even though they just came out like 2 months ago. Then in fourth place, the Bowers & Wilkins. These are $399. That's what I paid for them. That's the MSRP. They don't really seem to change much, and that's just the price of them. And then, no surprise here, the AirPods Max are by far the most expensive. The MSRP is $549, as a lot of you know, but right now the latest price I'm seeing is about $479. Regardless, still the most expensive. So let's add up all those scores, 1 through 5. You add them up like a golf score, so the lowest score is going to win, meaning you came in first place the most, essentially. So now let's add them up, see what the totals are. Before I tell you the numbers, you can guess in the comments which one you think might be the best. For me, going into this, I really thought the Sonys were going to be the best, really all around a pretty solid pair of headphones, and they usually do end up, if not the top, really close to the top. But the number one here, with 19 total points, was actually the Sennheiser Momentums. And it might sound strange because they didn't have really good active noise cancellation, they didn't have really good transparency mode, but they never came in last place. Like they were always pretty decent, and they came in first place quite a few times as well, with the best battery life, the best price, the best sound quality, and then they came in second place for things like great features, great design, great controls. Like it's kind of no surprise when you look at that these did really well in this comparison, at least with the metrics that I used in this video. Then in second place, almost tied, the Sony WH-1000XM5s. These, again, didn't ever come in last place. They came in first place for the microphones, for the features, and they came in second place for the price, the fit, the comfort. Like, these are just so easy to recommend. Then in third place, we have the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra headphones. These have 27 points, so they came a little bit behind because they came in last place for the microphone test. They came in last place for design. Again, that's subjective, so not everyone will agree with that. But they also did come in first place with the active noise cancellation. So if what you really care about is good sound, good noise cancellation, like the real fundamentals, good comfort on a pair of headphones, then yeah, the Bose Quietcomfort Ultras are a really easy recommendation there. Despite being third place, like if you have the right priorities, those are really a no-brainer. Then in fourth place, we have the AirPods Max, actually. These, again, they're a little bit more expensive. They didn't have the best battery life. They came in fourth place for like the fit, the comfort, because they are a little bit heavier, but they still have the best transparency. They have really good active noise cancellation. They have good sound quality despite not outcompeting others on here. And I think they're great. If you're in the Apple ecosystem and money's no object, they're an easy recommendation, but they're not going to be number one on this list and not the easiest to recommend to most people out there who, in my opinion, would benefit from the other ones. And then unfortunately in last place, even though I really love the way these look and I really liked like the battery on here, they did a lot right with the design, the controls. These just came in last place against the other ones on this table a little bit more than I expected. They have 33 total points, putting them in last place. But let me know which of these you thought were best and why. I really had a good time making this video. If you want to see more videos just like this, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.